being sustainable in the music industry. So I think we'll just spend 10 minutes having a chat about that, and Simon and I will answer, but we want to hear from you guys as well. What sort of answer would you give to these questions?
Right. Got some really controversial things here.
I'm sure.
Things like, do you want to start with the least controversial and work upwards? Or?
Have you got all the questions?
Yeah.
What's the least controversial one? There's a couple that are...
What is commercial noise doing to our natural landscape?
Ooh. Commercial noise, that's a good one. What's it doing to our natural landscape? I think of cities immediately when I hear that. Like, is it drowning out bird song and the ability for birds to communicate with each other? That's one that I think about.
Well, birds are louder in cities now.
Yeah, I think that's for that reason, right?
Bird song has changed.
Yeah.
So they can hear themselves over.
Is that why cockatoos are so loud? Because my family friend mentioned that. But they've been like that forever. I don't know. They're just really loud ass birds. I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, one of the big dangers of industrial noise is in the ocean, and particularly for whales and other dolphins. Many of you know this, but it's that, so much sea activity, the noise, it travels a long way and actually really has a profound influence. And many scientists are getting worried about particularly certain communities of whales, because it affects your ability to communicate, and they're very sensitive to sound. And so given we've lost population, some populations are growing of whales, but some are really still endangered. Just the sheer amount of noise we put into the system is a problem. And I think cities are atrocious places with all the, which, if I might be so bold to say, electrification of transport would probably lower the overall noise in cities.
Yeah, it's true.
In Europe, though, there's a new EU legislation asking electric vehicle manufacturers to raise the noise levels to reduce accidents.
Yeah. Has there been an increase in accidents that they found already? Yeah, because you don't know if a car's coming, right? Yeah. Especially when I put in like my noise cancelling headphones or something, because I get really overwhelmed by like too much noise in the city, and I love putting them on and not hearing anything. And then I'm like, well, I'm running the risk of not hearing things coming at me. So
yeah, I was looking through these reports about the history of our evolutionary biology, and pretty much every animal has eyelids, but no one has earlids, because listening is actually like the most important thing for our safety. And so when you want to sleep, there's just no option unless you put something in your ears. And I was reading about how there's only a handful, maybe 10 or 11 places in the whole world, where you can hear only natural noises for at least 10 minutes. The rest of the time, there's always an aeroplane or a beeping sound or whatever it might be. And I think that's really terrifying. You think about evolutionary sort of history where we're walking through a valley, and on the left you can hear birdsong, and on the right you can't hear anything. You're going to go towards the birdsong because that tells you where water is, where food is, and so on. And I think I read about how our ears have adapted to be able to hear the frequency of birdsong, whereas previously we didn't have that ability.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that one?
Oh, I have a thought.
Yeah.
This provokes a thought of mine concerning that not everyone is hearing, and that particularly for those within I think there's a construct of how we work as a community and how we work in how we socialise, but also how we've learnt to look out for safety or to look out for signs of life. And for those of us hearing, that's such a huge indicator for that. But then there's obviously a whole way of knowing without hearing. For those of us who are who can't hear.
Non-auditory.
Yeah, that just triggered that for me, and I thought it would be that I wanted to raise it.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Here's a little less controversial one. Is Australia actually good at recycling? Does anyone say yes to this? Is Australia actually good at recycling?
Does it depend on your council, do you think? Or would you see
Massively,
it? Yeah, because my council recently introduced like these really good mini green waste bins, and they drop them off for free at every single house in the council area, and they recycle all different types of food. So it's not just stuff that like, it's more than you can put in your compost. And I haven't looked more into like how they're actually recycling it, but I at least appreciate that effort that they're putting into it. And then we've got our red bins, our yellow bins, our green bins, and now it's called the FOGO bin, which is an entirely separate thing the council takes out. I appreciate that effort, but there's been a bit of backlash from other councils that have tried to do similar things, so it is quite a council-specific thing.
It's quite localised that as well. Like my
Yeah.
area's just brought in the glass bins, specifically for glass recycling, and that's quite recent and really helpful as well. But then, you know, you go back out country or something, and because you only get the bins collected like fairly rarely out there, people just throw everything into the. So it's much less, very location dependent, I would think.
I saw this Randwick Council in Sydney, so very bad story. This